Welcome to the Sunriver Anglers Fly Tying Corner, where each month we bring you a new fly pattern to give a try to on our Central Oregon lakes and rivers. In addition to showing you how to tie each pattern, I'll feature fishing technique tips and tricks, and I'll cover some of the entomology behind each pattern to help gain a better understanding of the bugs that we're trying to imitate. I have field tested each of the patterns that I feature each month to make sure that they catch fish. I'll cover tying instructions for the fly as well as materials to help you be able to recreate these patterns on your own vise. For this month's pattern, I'm going to tie a rubber legs woolly bugger. This is a regular woolly bugger with a twist. We've added some rubber legs to give the fly more life and more action in the water. This technique I learned long ago while fishing down in Argentina. Most of their woolly buggers were dressed with rubber legs, and I picked up that technique and I've always kept with it. It's a good pattern, and the options are endless for different colors and different styles and different leg colors. So give it a try. The materials list for this pattern follows. As I tie the fly, I'll cover each of the materials in a little greater depth. For a hook, I've used a Daiichi 1710. This is a 2x long, 1x heavy wire hook that's designed for larger nymphs or woolly buggers, and I'm using a size 6. For the bead, I've got an 1/8 inch brass bead in gold. For thread, I'm using an Ultra 140 denier in olive. So let's get started tying this pattern. I'm going to attach my thread right behind the bead and wind back and trim off the excess. For the tail, I'm using J. Fair's Marabou, and this is in a cinnamon color. I've trimmed out a clump of marabou, and I'm going to proportion the marabou about the length of the hook shank or a little longer, and I'll pre-trim it before I tie it on. I'm going to tie this clump of marabou on right behind the bead and wind it all the way back to the tail set position right above the barb on this hook. For the rib on this fly, when I tie down the hackle, I'm using a bronze wire, dark, to blend in with the body. This is a good point to tie in the wire that we'll use to add strength to the hackle when we wind it forward. We use it as a ribbing wire. For the tail flash, I've got a little crystal flash in peacock. And I'll add some strands of crystal flash here. I'm going to tie in the crystal flash on one side of the tail, and then I'll fold it around the body and bring it to the opposite side of the tail and clip off the excess. For the body on this fly, I'm going to use cactus chenille in peacock, and this is size small, although it gives me a nice full body on a size 6 woolly bugger. From here, I'm going to tie in my cactus chenille and get that ready to go. For the legs on this fly, I'm using grizzly legs in olive, and they're flaked with a little bit of flash material just to add some character to the pattern. So I've taken two of the legs off the patch of rubber legs, and I'm going to go ahead and split them into two. So now I've got four legs, and I'll tie two mid-body and two a little closer to the head with figure-8 wraps to go ahead and secure those, pointing out to either side of the hook at about a 90-degree angle, or maybe pointing slightly backward. At this point, you don't have to worry too much about having those legs set perfectly. We can manipulate them with upcoming materials to come by winding very close to the base of the legs and pushing the legs around a little bit. So here's the part that gets a little tricky on this pattern, is winding the flash material or the cactus chenille forward through all those rubber legs. It takes a fair amount of materials control to do that. You want to grab each group of legs and pull them forward and out of the way as you're winding, and then as you pass it, you're going to wind very tightly against the back of the rubber legs and then very tightly against the front of the rubber legs to try and position them right where you want them, and go ahead and then pull the front rubber legs out of the way as you pass by, and do the same thing, winding all the way up to the head. For the hackle, I'm using a whiting dry fly cape, and the color is a dark cree. You can vary the colors widely on this pattern to suit your individual needs, but in this case I've chosen a dark grizzly or a dark cree that's got that grizzly color to it, and it looks really good on this pattern. I've chosen a hackle way down toward the base of this cape, which has the longer barbs, but also a little bit more web, which we like for woolly buggers. I'm going to tie on this hackle right at the head, and then I'll wind it all the way back to the tail set position on this fly. And once I'm back there, I'm going to grab that wire, pull it around the hook point, and go ahead and tie off the hackle using the wire. And then I'm going to take the wire and wind it all the way forward to the head position, kind of weaving through that hackle so I don't disturb where the barbs are lying, and tie it off at the head and clip off the excess. And finally, I'll go ahead and whip finish twice at the head position. I'm not going to use any glue on this pattern, and so I'll whip finish it twice, and it'll never come apart. So this is a good time to collect all those legs together and even up the length of them. And so I'm going to go ahead and trim these at this point in time, collecting all 8 of those legs and trim them all at once. So let me rotate my vise so you can see all sides of the rubber legs woolly bugger. Great pattern. Those rubber legs give it a little more action in the water and result in more takes from willing trout. So that has been your Sunriver Anglers Fly Tying Corner for this month. I hope you'll give the rubber legs woolly bugger a try. It's a good pattern and fish it much like any other woolly bugger, but with the addition of the rubber legs on it, it gives it a little more action and a little more attractiveness to trout. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to this YouTube page and look us up on Facebook at Sunriver Anglers. Thanks for watching.